They asked the players to play another game and more collisions. And they did not only did they give them no reward, they took away a reward to San Francisco. Hey, San Francisco, most physical team in the league, play another regular season game. We did and we won. Congrats. No bye. Face Seattle a third time. Anytime you do something for greed, money, it's going to come back to haunt you. Anytime you do, I've been saying this for years to people, money's important. I am in no way saying money's not important. Money's really important for educational opportunities, for medical needs. I'm not saying it's, but when you do something strictly for money, Robinson Cano to the Mariners, never works out. Adding a 17th game, okay, fine. More collisions to your star players. The payoff should be another bye for the great teams. San Francisco went out there, kicked ours. It's like, okay, we'll play another game, and we won. We're going to take your bye away. What's the point? If I'm asking more of my employees, I got to give them benefits and rewards. You get another week of vacation. If I do something for Fox, the bosses always come to me, take another week off or take another few days off. That's what I have a bad vibe about the karma of this weekend. Oh. I got a bad vibe that a star player is going to get hurt. Something's going to go wrong. One of the good teams is going to get upset. Listen, I understand capitalism, but it's not like the NFL was like, you know what, we got to raise more funds. We're tapped out here. The league's on fire. It's separated from the world. And by the way, it all benefits me. The more playoff games, the better. But San Francisco should have a bye this week. Physical because you know what we want in the playoffs? More San Francisco. We don't want Seattle. Seattle's not capable of winning 2 games, but they are capable with a great coach in Pete Carroll beating, after the 2 beatings they've taken, beating San Francisco once. I think they're capable of it. I don't think they will. Now, Miami's going to get, but if Tua was playing, so Miami and Seattle have played like Drek for a month. They don't even feel like playoff teams. They wouldn't have been a couple years ago. I love the NFL. I'm just crossing my fingers. All the star quarterbacks, all the star players are healthy, because nothing's better than Buffalo when they're healthy, and nothing's better than the Niners when they're healthy. Those are the I love watching Buffalo play. I love watching the Niners play. I'm off my soapbox now.
If Seattle's able to upset San Francisco, Seattle would then go to Philadelphia, which is banged up.
And by the way, get crushed. Philadelphia would run them out of the building.
I'm going to go no comment on that one.
Okay.
I think they got a shot.
Greg Cosell, 43 years, NFL films. I got on my soapbox there. I'm sorry. Let me get off my soapbox for a second. Okay.
All right, so you're not looking for a Skylar Thompson, Anthony Brown AFC Championship game, are you?
No, I'm not.
No?
Okay. All right. So let's talk Seahawks Niners.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, Niners pass rush. What does the film say he's going to see?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because I think that's one element of this game that really needs to be discussed. Obviously, everybody's been talking about Purdy and their offense, and they should. But Geno Smith is the most sacked quarterback in the NFL on third down. Now, not all of that is his fault, obviously, but I think that's one area of this game to really focus on. There will be third and long situations. There are every game and every week. And this is where the Seahawks offense, I think, struggles on third and long. And their left tackle, Charles Cross, the rookie, he's actually regressed as this year has gone on. That's what the tape tells you. And he struggled in one-on-one pass protection. And we know what the Niners bring, both as individuals. You're looking at Nick Bosa, but also they're schematically strong with some of the things they do up front. Multiple looks. They use Fred Warner as a fifth rusher quite a bit. And it's very difficult to really get them all blocked cleanly. And I think that's one area of this game to really focus on.
Okay, what makes the Niners and Shanahan's offense, this feels like kind of the best version of it. Like, it's always been substantial. Yeah. What makes it so hard to defend, Greg?
Yeah, that could probably be a 3-hour seminar in a college class. So just a few things. Number one, I think they take base run plays that everybody has, and they get to them in different ways through the use of personnel, formation, and motion. They are really good with motion, how they get to basic blocks differently at times than other teams. Number two, now that Debo's back, they essentially have 5 players when they're in 21 personnel, meaning 2 backs with Juszczyk on the field. They essentially have 5 eligible receivers, Colin, who can line up anywhere in your formation. They're multiple with their location alignments, and that makes it really difficult for a defense. And it gives your quarterback much more information before the snap of the ball. Now, one point about this matchup in particular, Jonathan Abram has been the strong safety for the Seahawks the last number of weeks. I assume it will still be him, although Ryan Neal played most of the season. With Abram there, he's basically a glorified linebacker. He is a box player. He's not really a back-end safety. So that in some ways makes the Seahawks defense a little more predictable.
Yeah. All right, let's go. One question on the Chargers-Jacksonville. They played earlier, and I'm sure you've looked at some film of that. I tend to. Yeah. My takeaway is if Mike Williams is healthy, I'm going to take Jacksonville's young. I think the Chargers have more older, experienced players. I like the Chargers this weekend. You go back to their first meeting. What does the film say? Is there something you like?
And that was week 3. And to me, that game, not that they won't look at it, but that was a long time ago. I spent a lot of time this week studying the Chargers pass offense. And you know as well as I do that there's a lot of people who think this pass offense does not, play to what they see Justin Herbert being, a big, strong-armed guy. But I'll tell you what, I watched their tape. I must have watched 200 dropbacks this week. And I think they do a lot of good things conceptually with their pass game versus zone coverage, attacking man coverage. Sometimes I feel as if people penalize Justin Herbert for getting completions. There's nothing wrong with throwing a 7-yard completion on 1st and 10. That's not a bad thing. We used to praise Tom Brady for that for years and years. And then all of a sudden it's 2nd and 3. Now, Herbert is a big, strong, imposing physical specimen with a big arm who can obviously push the ball down the field. But you also need to protect to do that. Their O-line has not been really good this year due to injury, and I don't believe Slater will be back this week. He may be back if they win the following week, the left tackle. So I think this is a pass offense, quite frankly. I think it's a good pass offense, and I'm very curious to see them against a Jaguars secondary that I think is beatable.
Okay. All right, let's pivot to Giants, Minnesota.
Yep.
They played. Okay, so what did you notice?
Week 16.
Yeah. So you tell me, what did you know? What did Daniel Jones do, the offense do? What did you see on film?
Yeah, that was a fascinating game. That was the only game this year that was a close game in which Brian Daboll let Daniel Jones turn it loose. He had about 45 dropbacks in that game, and that was the most he's had. Normally, they do not play that way. And the other interesting element to that game was that the Vikings played far more man coverage than had been their MO all season. And Jones played really well in that game. He missed a couple of things. That's okay. All quarterbacks do at times. But the Giants had a really quick timing and a rhythm pass game. They included RPO concepts. Jones got the ball out. He was really, really efficient in that game, Colin. And I'll be very curious, since it's indoors, no weather factor, if Brian Daboll, in a sense, turns them loose again, because that's what he did the first time against a Vikings pass defense that has had struggles all season long.
Now, how did the Giants' defensive front and defense overall match up with Justin Jefferson and Kirk Cousins in the offense?
Yeah, this was a fascinating thing with what the Giants did defensively. You have Wink Martindale, and Wink Martindale can be very game specific, but 2 things you pretty much know is you're going to get pressure and you're going to get man coverage. Now, what he did in that game, and think about this, no other team really does this. He played 22 snaps with 7 defensive backs. Think about that. So no team plays like that. That's what he did against the Vikings. Now, I'm sure he did that because of concerns about their receivers. There were times that they had Jefferson bracketed. Jefferson actually, on a 17-yard touchdown with 3 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, the Giants, in a sense, play what we call 2-man coverage, and they actually had Jefferson, a player underneath him, and a safety over the top of him. But They were very aware of Jefferson, but playing with 7 defensive backs like that, again, I don't know if he'll do the same thing, but he will also pressure your quarterback. Kirk Cousins will feel some pressure in this game.
Okay, Burrow and the Bengals, I think, beat the Ravens, who could be on a third quarterback. But the Ravens have given Burrow more trouble than almost any team. So why?
That's a great question because, I watched them this week from last week's game because they just played, as you aptly pointed out in your lead-in. The Ravens are not a man coverage team. Martindale is gone. It's a different D coordinator. They do not play a lot of man coverage. They don't blitz a lot. We think of them as a